Today we're going to make a sculpted light bulb, 2 prims, 2 pieces, where you can turn the bulb on and off in Second Life. And we're going to use a beginner's tool, which is actually Sculptypaint. We're going to open up our Sculptypaint. I will leave a link below the video on where you can get Sculptypaint. I think it's a great beginner's tool and it makes it a lot easier to make sculpties in Second Life. What we're going to do is go to our stone tool and reset to cylinder. Then I'm going to use my vectors here, scale X, Y, or Z. I'm going to scale up the Y by 1. And I'm going to go to the drawing tool. Right now we're going to make the base of the bulb. So, you know, the bottom of the bulb is basically rounded and brought in. I'm using my left mouse button to actually draw along this. And then we're going to have our ridges basically for where the bulb screws in. So let's draw our ridges here. Actually, that'll look good right there. We're going to smooth this out in a second, so I'm going to leave it a little rough for now. I'm going to go down to the bottom because there's a little contact usually at the bottom of the bulb. So we're going to go over to Arch tool, and you'll be able to see white lines over here corresponding to where I'm at over here. So I want this to come out about here, but I want to include the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is select all these, and then I'm going to go up on my Y-axis. So you got red, that's X, green is Y, blue is Z. The purple over here will be basically all of them. It's like selecting all. So now we have our little divot on the bottom. What we're going to do is hit Smooth Sculpt up here and tap that twice. Get closer to look into it. Now a light bulb's going to go in a little bit, so I'm going to clear these. And I'm going to go up and watch my white line over here while I'm over here. And I'm going to select from here on up. And I'm going to go down. I may actually clip the bottom of this. Bring it down a little bit more. And then I'm going to smooth sculpt once again. And we have our basic screw-in light bulb base. I might actually bring it down a little bit to make it look a little more compact by scaling down. And then I'm going to hit my texture sketch tool. And I'm going to tap this middle one green twice to bring it up to white. And I am going to make it a little clearer. It gives kind of like a gauze effect to it. And then I'm going to hit this, which is Gaussian blur, a couple times. And then I'm going to save my sculpt image and save my texture. Now when I bring up my folder, I'm going to name these bulb base and bulb base texture. Now I'm going to go back in here and I am going to go back to my stone tool. I'm going to select color over here and I'm going to reset to cylinder. It's basically where we started. Now I'm going to use my scale this time to scale it out a little bit more. Then I'm going to use my drawing tool and I'm going to draw the bulb. I know that looks horrible for the first run here, but like I said, with the drawing tool you can go back and edit it a little bit. I'm going to smooth sculpt. I smooth it a bunch actually. I'm going to go back to my stone tool and I'm going to extend this up, stretch it up a little bit on the Y. And we now have our bulb. So I'm going to throw a texture on this. I'm going to do the green twice again. Get me back to white. Make it a little clearer and then Gaussian blur it. Now I'm going to save sculpt image. and save texture. And go back into my folder and rename this as the bulb. And rename this as the bulb texture. Now we're going to bring these into Second Life. So I'm going to go up to File, Upload, Bulk, and find my Sculptypaint folder. Make it easier over here at All Files, we're going to change to Images. And I'll just highlight these 4 and open. Now we'll close these out and we'll create our sculpties on the ground here. Now we're going to go to Object, Sculpted, and I'm going to go find my sculpt map in my textures. So we're going to go with Bulb Base, and then I'm going to rotate this up. Now to make sure it's on the right axis, I'm going to go down to my rotation here. These vectors here correspond with 360 degrees, so basically 90 is a quarter turn, 180 is a half turn, 270 is 3/4, and 360 is all the way around. We're on 270, so we're straight up and down. So I am going to hold shift and drag a copy out of this. Now that I have a second one, I'm going to throw my bulb map into here. So we're going to open up our inventory again, throw the bulb in, wait for it to res up. Then I'm going to stretch it up. We'll center it over our base. You're going to have to move your camera around a little bit to do this and get it centered in there right and stretched out correctly, but it shouldn't take you too long. I'm actually going to stretch this up a bit more. Now we have our basic light bulb and the base. So let's apply our textures. Bulb base texture and our bulb texture. Now with the bulb texture, you're going to be able to see through a light bulb. So I'm going to go under the texture settings and change the transparency a bit. About 48 looks good. Then on the base, it's going to be shiny in real life, so we're going to change our shininess to low. And now we have basic light bulb. I might turn that opacity back up a little bit. Now we need to script this bulb here so we can turn it on and off. So what we're going to do is right click, Edit, Content, New Script. Now I'm just going to erase all this and we're going to start our script here. So basically we're going to need an on and off switch. It's going to be an integer that stores a value to tell it whether it's going to be on and off. So integer, integer, however you want to pronounce it, I call it integer. And we're going to call it switch. And we're going to make it equal 0 to start off. Then we're going to do our default and a bracket, and then our state entry. Oh, we forgot our underscore. Now we're going to need another bracket. You got to remember brackets. Usually if you're coding something in here, you're copy and pasting a script from a forum or something, and you run into an error, a lot of times that tends to be one of the first things that's usually wrong with it is a bracket misplacement. LSL is a lot like Java, so for Java programmers this should be pretty easy. So in our state entry, that's our startup. we're going to set our switch to 0. So we'll go switch equals 0. Seems a little redundant since we already set it at the top, but you know, just do it anyway. Then we're going to set our touch start, touch underscore start. Then we're going to do integer total number in parentheses. We're going to do another bracket because it's going to contain something. And then we're going to do an if and then statement. So if switch equals, and remember the double equals because like I said, this is like Java. Then parentheses, another bracket, and we'll do ll set primitive params, short for primitive parameters. We're going to do a parentheses, then we're going to do a square bracket, prim underscore point underscore light comma false comma. Then let's go down to a new line. I'm going to go over here just so it looks a little better. This is going to be our RGB value. So I'm going to set it for, set it for, it doesn't really matter because we're turning it off. So 0.0 comma 0.0 comma 0.0. And we'll set, this is going to be our intensity. It's going to be 1.0. It's going to be our radius, 10.0. And then our fall off is going to be 0.5. We're going to do another square bracket, parentheses, and a semicolon. Then we're going to set our switch equals 1. Since we're changing the value and we're not checking a value, it's not going to be a double equal, it's going to be a single equal. Then we'll set up another bracket because we're closing that one out. Then we're going to go to else if switch equals 1. Now, I have mentioned Java in this, and if you all know Java, don't tell me that my indentation is like horrible, because I know my indentation is horrible on this. But I honestly don't care, because it's going to run just fine, because it's LSL. We're going to set primitive params again. Parentheses, square bracket, prim underscore point underscore light comma. This time it's going to be true. We're going to turn it on. Then we're going to comma and go down to the next line. Now we're going to set our RGB value, which for this we're going to do something a little off whitish. So we're going to do 1.0 comma 0.7 comma 1.0 and close it out. Now your straight white on your RGB vectors is going to be 1, 1, 1. That's why I said this is going to be really close to a white. It's just going to be a little bit off white. Your black would be 0, 0, 0. Red, of course, would be 1.0 and then 0, 0. And then green would be 0, 1, and 0. And you know, RGB. They're all respective to the number. So we're going to make a comma, go down to the next line, and we're going to set our, we could do this all on one line, but I'm just doing this on multiple lines to show you that you can do this on multiple lines. It doesn't all have to be on one line, so this is more of an example. But we're going to set our intensity for 1.0, comma, and then go to the next line. We're going to set our radius for 10.0, comma, go to the next line, And we're going to set off our fall off for 0.5. We're going to close it out with a square bracket, parentheses, and semicolon. And then we're going to set our switch to our other variable, which will be 0. Now we got to remember to close out these other brackets we have. So I'm going to go over here, closing bracket, closing bracket, closing bracket. Now we're going to save our script. Hit reset, close it out, close this out. And when we touch it, our light bulb lights up. Touch it, turn it off, touch it, turn it on, touch it, turn it off. Now you can add in more parameters to change the color of your bulb, change the alpha of it if you'd like. We'll add that in later because this video already ran kind of long. But basically, just where it says set primitive parameters in our script, here we'll even open it up and show you real quick. Right here, when you set your primitive parameters, you should change your alphas in the if-else statement too. I would change it to 1.0 or 0.0, basically to make it solid, you know what I'm saying, when it's glowing, and then maybe even add a glow to it. You can look in the Second Life wiki or through our forums to find out how to do that. Happy sculpting, and I hope this helps somebody make a light bulb.